Fifth string. In case you always tune off the first string A, because you're working off a tuning fork, this is the 440. Open string. While I'm up there, why not the second string? Third string. That A, to contrast with your 440, your 228. Fourth string D. That makes this the E. Okay? Okay. Hi. For this first blues idea, all I need from you is E for the left hand. E major, I'll get more of a close-up of the left hand in a minute. E major, and then E seventh. The easiest way to do that is to get the ring and little finger, everything off the board, except the index, where it was on the first fret of the third string, and that middle finger on the second fret of the fifth string. Then you can go back to your E major, but you can put your little finger over on, you can put that whole E major down, but put the little finger on the second string, third fret. And you can take the ring finger off the board and get that, you know, then only three fingers, the ring finger is now off the board. E7th, you'll be using that. Then you go on to A major and A7th, so we should do that. A7th, the easiest form, is second fret, second string, often with the ring finger, fourth fret, I'm sorry, second fret again, second fret, fourth string. The first two fingers may also often have to do that. Not only the second two, but usually you don't have to do this, but in the flamenco you would. So, but generally in the American things, the second two fingers, middle and ring, first two fingers, index and middle, and in all cases, the little finger is going to have to be working on that first string. On the third fret, it gets its key position. That's still A7th, but a different voice. Off the board with the little finger, on the board. If the first two fingers did it, then there's a chance that the ring finger may do that. But most of the time, you got those two fingers on the board, so you can futz around up here. Well, actually, all we need besides that, lucky us, is a finger position called B7th. So, in its cleanest form, you would have the fifth string, this string, second fret. On the first fret, the index finger on the fourth string. On the second fret again, the ring finger on the third string, the open second string, and the little finger on the second fret once more on that treble string. Several things have to be done to this at times, because the sixth string is so awful and absolutely out of the question. You would very often put that middle finger on it, second fret. Kill that fifth string, because you would need a new bass. You see, that kind of thing. Or, if you felt heroic, you could double over with that second finger and push down clean on both the sixth and fifth strings on that fret, and then but you can't kill the fourth string, you know. Then the index, that you might have to do that. At other times, the little finger has to get off the board to get a nice dissonance. That's all you need as far as finger positions are concerned. But now, what I need for you to do is to hear each voice. Get all the strings that are in the chord and hear them as individual voices. Because since you're moving into the blues, you're going to have to keep voices moving. Blues as a musical thing depends on voices continually in motion, you see. So think of E major and listen to all six strings. Well, before we do that, why don't I change the camera so you can be looking at this and we review once more, okay? Let's just review once more. I'll change the camera. Okay. E major. E7th. E7th. A major, which you already play, right? If you don't, your job is to push down all three strings on that same fret. Nobody cares how you do it. Crowd three fingers in. Do it with two. Do it with these two. But the first string has to be clean, you know. A7th is more important to it. Also A7th. B7th. Dissonant. It's not a B7th, but it comes out of that finger position as a dissonance. So I would review that and listen to those strings. Each voice, not the chord as one hearing experience, but what each of the voices does. Hear each voice, because they will be in motion. In the blues, voices have to keep moving. Okay. Now, the other thing you have to do is hammer on. So let's take E major again. And let's take the index off the board and slam it on. So play it with off the board. How about hammering on the whole chord? hammer on. A, huh? Major. A7. My left little finger is crippled, but there are times when that has to be hammered on. I mean, my little finger would have to do it. B, hammer on that second finger. See what it can do on the sixth string instead. Hammer those on. Shake out as much as you need to. Get a little power and hear those voices. Now, we need to change from chord to chord, so I'll put the camera back in another place and I'll show you the blues that we'll be working on. Here I come. We're going to go E. We're going to go in 4 beat groups. Each group will have 4 beats. E. I don't care how you do the right hand on this group. Just, you know. E7th, any of the E7th. Any of them. A7. Any A7th. E. B7. I'm sorry, in this particular group of 4, we have 2 pulses on B7th and 2 pulses on A7th. That's the way it goes. E. Hold it for a minute. It isn't complete yet, but I want to go over it. Baby, how long? Baby, how long had that train been gone? Baby, how long? How long? Tell me how long. That's as far as we got you. Tell me how long. Probably one more beat on that E, and then we're going to use A. Baby, how long? We're about to close the singing line. A7. Tell me how. Close out verse. Close out measure. E. A7. E. B7. You're ready for the next verse. E. Change to E7. Whoa, to A. Another A. Back to E. B7. A7. E. A. E. Heard the whistle blowing. Didn't see no train. Whoa, down in my house there was an aching pain. How long? How long? Tell me how long. Left hand only. Just go thump, thump, thump. It's very good. Just, and if you got to stop for a minute and you know, change, turn me off, and do that change a few times. You know, like if you're having trouble between A7th and the other form of A7th, or the other form of A7 and E, do those 10, 20 times. Don't try to get them up to speed. Just repeat them a few times. Tell your nervous system what it's supposed to do. Don't ever expect any way of learning. No, because you never know when it's going to happen. That's about all we need before we begin to play some right hand games. And for that, I think I'll probably point a little bit closer to the right hand, and I'd like you to learn some mechanical things with the right hand. Not musical stuff yet, but mechanical things. The key thing to the rhythms we'll be using for now is to split each beat up into 3 subbeats. So let's do that, not connected with blues, but in general. Let's say we're going to go groups of 4 pulses because we're in the blues, and we're going to follow that idea that we just had. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No problem. Let's do something mechanical that's going to be a little ugly, but it's worth it, because I want to be sure you hear that 3. We're going to do what we did again. Remember, we went ba bo bo ba, ba bo ba, ba bo ba bo, ba bo ba, ba bo ba bo bo, ba bo ba, ba ba bo ba. But this time, each of those beats is going to have 3 little subbeats. And we'll do the little subbeats, something pretty horrible for your right hand, but we're going to go into the salt mines. We're going to have the index come back towards us 3 times on each pulse. Back, 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 back. And since it can change strings, our effort is going to be to have nice voices, but we got to keep the chord positions, right? So here we go. We won't bother the thumb, poor thumb. Da do do da. How many strings? Oh, 2 or 3 at the most. Da do do da. Da do do da. Da da da. Horrible, I know it. But this time, the right hand is going to have to do a little bit more. The thumb is going to have to get into it. The thumb chooses an appropriate string. If you're in E major, it's the 6th string. That's got to be important in what the thumb does. We're not going to be real precise. The thumb is going to be really rough. It's going to it's going to brush on the most important string and maybe 1 or 2 others. So in E, in E7th, if you want to use that 4th string, you can't use the 5th string as a bass. I mean, it's got to be stronger than that. The 6th has got to be in the action. But you might not even have the problem. Just stay there. You might want to use this one, so your thumb has nothing to do with it. A7th, don't clobber the 6th string now. You're in A7th, and it's the 5th string that's going to have to do the job of the thumb. In B7th, you might as well get into the habit, or at least have the option, of putting the middle finger on both strings. Now, we don't have to be clean here. But if you do not do that, and often you will use this finger position, the sixth string is murder. It must not, the thumb must not clobber it. And if you want to be snazzy, you might go from one to the other. Well, they've got to go together. Da do do da, da do do da, da do da do do da, da do do da, ba do do do, da da do, da dee dee dee. Okay. I want to play with those three now, with that sense of each pulse and its three little sub-pulses, sub-beats. We've already announced those three coming upward, and then on the actual pulse, taken in a bass string. We'll do exactly the same thing next, but with a slightly more subtle thing. Let's say that we take the E major chord that we had, but the index goes off the board. And we hit the sixth string and the third string, just for fun, at the same time. Thumb and index are together. On the right hand, thumb and index are together. With the left hand, the index is off the board. We hit those two, and then hammer on the index. And then the index has to go to the next string, the fourth string. That takes all three. 1, 2, 3, 1. The thumb then does take the next pulse by itself. So we have the thumb on just before the pulse on what would have been the and, or the three. Then we have that minor chord. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. And also the two together. Now, that's another example of how you will be maneuvering those three. On the one hand, on the other hand, or three, one. I muff in this case with my left hand. You want to practice that, because if you're not using a lot of voices, you need things to punctuate your pulse. And muffing, killing the strings, is one of them. So, I can't muff the sixth string with my left hand, right? So I kill it with my right thumb. I just let loose of the pressure until the strings are dead. The right thumb gets killed. The right thumb kills the sixth string. You notice that every time we play with a toy, it has a cross rhythm in it. The thumb celebrated the pulse on the sixth string, but also the thumb on the sixth string took the note just before the pulse, and at other times the pulse. So that shift, that kind of thing that at first seems hard to hear, I mean, what it then turns out to be the very cross rhythm that makes this music so exciting. One, three, one, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. I wouldn't do that, but we have to repeat. You're beginning to realize you can't repeat these things more than once or twice, and then you have to have another cross rhythm in order to get that wonderful fabric and sense of voices in motion. Well, we now have some things that we're learning separate from each other, with all the disadvantages of learning things separately rather than their continuity, but I think that's the only way I can do it. And we'll be mixing them as our ear tells us to, but right now we have to learn them separately. A third thing. Same idea, just different notes. Fifth string and second string this time for the index and thumb. Hammering on any A7th position you want. Or taking that position it's supposed to be on the second fret, putting on the first fret and sliding it over. Of course, if the thumb isn't real clean and also clobbers the fourth string, that's sort of nice. I think that's important. Thumb and index on the pulse. Doesn't really matter what you're doing. Let me do it this way. Right then, on the second part of the triplet is the slide. The third part of the triplet is another string. I happen to be using the middle finger, but I would build the capability of having the index wander as well as the middle finger. And it doesn't have to be clean. Some of the time it can hit an extra string. Okay? Baby, how long? Baby, how long have that train been gone? How long? That's important. How long? How long? And pulse, 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 pulse, and pulse. Just as in one case, the pulse is taken by the very important A, the mama of A7th. At other times, the pulse is not on that. It's deliberately put so as to cross the rhythm, to be, instead of da-do-do-dum. Those important bass notes are deliberately put before the pulse, the important voice before the pulse. That's something that'll help you a lot as you try to decipher what guitarists are doing. In a lot of American picking, both the straightforward finger picking and this kind of stuff, the important voice is just before the pulse. And it'll drive you nuts until you realize it's that simple. In finger picking, it's one of those things you eventually have to learn as a final touch of sophistication. And in this, it's a very important thing for you to decipher what how those voices keep moving. The very note that is the bass, home plate. That very note isn't on the pulse at all. It's just before. To use those triplets. Now, out of that sense of triplets and the way they feel comes a very important idea. Normally, in the blues, the second of those three is silent. And that I really would like you to put at the center of the way you phrase, of the way you feel this stuff. So we're up to now takes us much closer to the basic rhythm that we have to feel. So let's try that very simply. We'll take the thumb and we'll go and pulse, and pulse, and pulse. In the way we've been working it out, that would be 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. On the and, or the three, get off the board. And on the pulse, brush over the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. I don't think so much the 3rd string. 3-1, 3-3-1, 1. I'm sorry, 3-1, 1, 3-1, 1, 3-1, 1, 3-1, 1, 3-1. We have to join up. 3-1, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. It's the count 2 of the triplet. Let's say that we'll do that. And then instead of just going thump, instead of going 3-1, pulse, 3 pulse, pulse, 3 pulse, pulse, and pulse, pulse. Anytime we want to, on the and, we're going to come up with the index. On any string that we feel has a nice voice. Baby, how long? Baby, how long? See, you can't blame me for doing that. I need that voice, and I decided I don't want to clobber triplets. I don't want to do what we just did, okay? I don't want to do this. Baby, how long? Baby, how long? Whoa, I don't want to do that. I want to keep it emptier. The index by itself, just before the pulse, and then the two together. Since the index can... Anytime you need more mileage, do some muffing. Muff. Overwhelmingly, you find yourself muffing with the ridge hand, the edge of the hand. Josh White used to back up this way, used to play backup. He would go wop, 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 off on, and then index up, down. And in order to make it even more elegant, he wouldn't be on the beat. Instead of, he would deliberately make an arpeggio out of it. So he was behind the beat, and then he'd catch up again. Woo-hoo, 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 If somebody else is playing, that's a nice way to back up. Okay, we now have some things that we're learning separate from each other, with all the disadvantages of learning things separately rather than their continuity, but I think that's the only way I can do it. And we'll be mixing them as our ear tells us to, but right now we have to learn them separately. A third thing, to reinforce that sense of triplets, are single lines, which really are very powerful when they go ba 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 bop. And some of the things that ring through the decades that you remember somebody playing and learning are these single lines. So let's take one to stand for the others, and then later on, of course, I'll give you others. But let's take one that in its very structure is really, itself crosses its own rhythm, which is just before the pulse on the and, or on the 3 before the 1, the open string, second string, the note B, that's going to be just before the pulse. On the pulse, second string, second fret. Second string, second fret. I would say second finger for a while. C sharp. You can push just a little bit, but don't push too hard. Not too hard. Don't sit there. The next note is the first string open. And pulse. Then that very same string, third fret. 3, 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. And pulse. I'm going to give you the next triplet. Open string, first string, second string, that ring finger on the third fret this time, not the second fret. Open. On that first string, third fret, you can push, but don't lose time. On that second string ring finger, you can push a little bit, but don't break down that sense of triplets. Third string, ring finger. And this will happen a lot. You're going to slide back to the second string. And then you're going to slide again. If this were any other guitar music, I would now have to babble at you about clean pull-offs, clean, 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 clean. But in this music, we do the opposite. We want to make it muddy and vague. If you're playing with steel strings or electric guitar, you don't need to go to the third string. What you can do is play on the second. I don't mean the third string. I meant the third fret. Of course, you're on the third string, third fret. You're on the third string, but use the second fret of that string and push like crazy. I can't do it with my nylon. And then come on back from pushing. That's much more, defines itself much more clearly with the steel string, and on the electric it becomes just common vocabulary. But on our flamenco guitar, we have to simulate that sound by actually going to the third string and pulling back. Now the third of that triplet is the open third string, and you do it by pulling off. But instead of pulling off really clean, you, as you would in flamenco or in classic, you pull off as muddy and as messy and as undefined as you can. Now, since we're substituting and just playing around with sounds, you notice that the same sound can be created by using the ring finger and pulling off to the second finger. That pull-off isn't clean. At all. It's as muddy and as vague as we can make it musical. Doesn't really matter which mechanism you use here. I'd use all three and listen to what they sound like. Push strings back and forth. Let's do something that Lightning Hopkins used to do, and this will give you a chance to work with your thumb, do exactly the same thing with thumb index, and then also work with the fingers while the thumb does something else. We're going to stick to, and we're going to end up with this position, the index on the second string, third fret, the middle finger on the third string, fourth fret. Now, where we slide from doesn't make any difference. I like to slide two to get that texture. We're going to do that. Slide will be one, and then we'll do it two more times. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That was easy, wasn't it? You got to kill the first string. The treble string, you got to kill it. I mean, not really, but yeah, you can include it once in a while, but don't have it be ringing there. You kill it. That bottom E is the third of the triplet. The triplet, if we were to isolate it, would be any other note would do as that third one, you know. Doesn't really matter, as long as on the next pulse you hit that chord. Okay? Well, we played that with the thumb, or with the flat pick, which tried its best to get both strings so you got exactly the right texture off the string. This time, we're going to use the same left hand, but we're going to change the statement. We're going to go thumb, index, thumb. Now, even though The left hand doesn't have anything new to do, but the whole thing will change. The thumb is going to hit the third string as you slide. Index is going to thumb, index, thumb. Unlike in finger picking and many other forms of guitar playing, none of this can be clean. It's got to have a muddiness, a murkiness. The thumb, when it brushes finally on the pulse, fourth, third string, fourth, third, second string, but mostly the fifth string, of course, you got to be sure it doesn't dominate because it's a terrible note. Those are notes you want here. And finally, to give you something that might horrify your right hand for a little while, the thumb and index are going to go together. Nothing new, just a thumb now has a new job. It's going to hit the sixth string to support this foolishness. Thumb and index together. Middle, on the second string, then index. Let's make it easy for you. Let's leave the thumb out, realizing we will use it, but let's ask the index and middle to do them, to do the stuff by themselves. Boom. Right? Okay, now you understand that wouldn't cut it. It's too thin. But with the thumb in it, it's just really beautiful. That's another triplet. Phrase based on... I'm anxious for you. Let's see, Carl Granich gave me this, and it's got that same kind of power of the perfectly structured run in triplets. As many times from now on, the first note is just before the pulse. And 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, and 1, and 1, and pulse, and pulse. That's the little finger on the sixth string, fourth fret. Now, instead of just playing that note mechanically, I'd like you to meet it. That's the note G sharp. This is the note that causes the E chord to be major. D, 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 D. That G sharp is what makes it major. That makes it major. If this were a G natural, if I asked for that, then I would be evoking a chord with the G natural, the ordinary plain old G. In the chord, it would be, and that would be E minor. So here we are, deliberately playing the note G to subtly evoke the chord E major. And 1. We're going to go to the open fifth string. Fifth string, first fret. Second fret. Here again, let's not just mechanically do it. But let's meet these notes. Notes that are adjacent to each other like open, first fret, second fret, or second fret, third fret, fourth fret. Notes that are like that right next to each other. In the jargon, they're called in half steps, one fret at a time, are very useful in this kind of music. Again, most of the time they're muddy. They're hammered on, and it wouldn't kill you to hammer it on. So you now know that G, so we will be playing it as the rhythm would be, and 1, 2, 3, 1, and 1, 2, 3, 1. I'm not going to give the next one because I want to stop for a minute. As a little side study, you're forgetting about that little run and instead going open string, fifth, hammer on the first finger, hammer on the second finger. The rhythm would be 1, 2, 3. And so from a lot of people's blues guitar, we get this idea based on those same triplets. Let's say we'll do that on the fourth string. Hit the open string, hammer on the 1 and the 2. Do it again on the fifth string. Well, if we make that lazy enough, so it isn't like the regular bright-eyed and bushy-tailed triplets, but it's sort of a lazy, slinky triplet, then we have baby, how long? Baby, how long? Why have that even train been gone? Baby, how long? Baby, how long? Won't you tell me how long? Yeah, it wouldn't kill you to slide into that. Here you are with that second finger. Build a B7th right around it and strum it. Pulse, 2, 3, pulse. Heard the whistle blowing. Didn't see no train. Way down in my heart, there was an aching pain. Baby, how long? Baby, how long? Won't you tell me how long? And now we got to go on to clean that run up. But I wanted you to take that little side trip. Back to the original run by Carl Granage. I've taken you to flatten that finger out or jump real quick because you got to get the fourth string, second fret E. Well, this hand is crippled, so it's got to flatten out. It can't get over there fast enough. Off the board for the open fourth string D. I'm going to have to recap. And, repeating, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1 is the fifth string, second fret. Next comes that string open. And the third note is not G sharp with the little finger, but G ordinary, natural, with the ring finger open. So for the first time, you're meeting one of the great sources of the beauty of the blues. It can never make up its mind whether it's in minor or in major. If it's completely committed to minor, it's a very beautiful minor blues, but doesn't have that incredible earthy depth that we expect from great blues. And if it's completely, I'll give you one of those, because it's a very important thing that will reflect itself in the way you see the board. So I'm not just wandering off into musicology or theory. Let's say in an actual minor blues. This is real minor. The chords are minor, and the whole thing has a minor thinking, and it's a fairly deep blues. I went down to St. James Infirmary, and I saw my baby there. Oh, she was laid out on a white table. Ooh, so sweet, so young, so fair. Well, that's all nice. All those minor blues, to be so black and blue, and they're very often very beautiful. There is a house in New Orleans, but they're not at the center of the blues. Also not at the center of the blues are blues that are absolutely major. Love, oh love, oh careless love. Love, oh love, oh careless love. It had caused me to weep. Oh, it has caused me to moan. And it caused me to leave my happy home. Those are very often have very powerful performances. When Ma Rainey or Bessie Smith sings something like this, it'll get to you, but it's still not in the center of the blues, because much of the grit of that center is in the fact that the minor and major are continually biting into each other. So this run is a wonderful one example that just throws the whole thing right at you, and it'd be to your advantage to be aware of that. This note evokes a major chord. We're in minor. Baby, how long have that even train been gone? How long, yes, how long, won't you tell me how long? Well, this is a little bit burdensome for you beginners. Open first, get that second finger on the board, get the rest of B7s down. Forget the little finger, but get the rest of those fingers down, so you can strum on that. You don't have to, but it's nice to be able to, so you don't have to just hit that string, then take all day forming a finger position around it. So try to get them to come together. The little finger can take a little extra time, because that's a nice dissonance. It not being there makes a nice dissonance. I think we ought to stop here, and I ought to hear from you. I'm going to repeat now. What I want to do is not just give you these various items, which I think you have to learn. They're good prototypes, and from there you can just explode into things that are like that, and then new language will come up. But to join that stuff up with these rhythmic things, that's what the joining up is, what I think guitarists have trouble with. So that even though they can play very well in many areas in which the question of joining up never came up, in this music, it's the joining up I would most work on. If you're going to take yourself into the salt mines again, concentrate on those few moments when you're going from ba-ba-da-do-do-do, ba-ba-da-ba-ba-bop, to when you're doing your rhythm. Or on the other hand, from a rhythm to when you do that. And I don't mean learn it by rote, but the moment you've learned it and you can do it so it's just not even anything, begin to twist it, okay? Ba-ba-do-do-da, ba-ba-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do, ba-ba-do-do-do-do-do, ba-bo-do-do, ba-bo-do-do-do. Ba-ba-do-do-do-do-do, ba-da-da. Whatever you want, but the join-up points from one device to the other is, I think, where I would work. And the moment you've got that, disregard it and pick another join-up point. It's the joining up, the continuity of movement, that I think will be the hurdle that you may have had and not felt. For you guys who are starting this, I would say exactly the same thing. First learn the material, but then remember, it's just clues. What you need is beyond that in this section of the tape, going from what would be backup rhythm to single lines. We still have to do, as part of basics, some bass lines. But we have some, I gave you some, I just didn't want to emphasize that. But we still have to do those. We still have to get a certain kind of feeling, which we've just started these last few minutes of this cassette, and that is to work very instinctively and competently with thumb, index, middle, so we break through the structures and eventually we follow voices, not having to think about which of these structures. But I will be going on with structures. I need for you to be really comfortable with this three-finger Mississippi Delta kind of picking. It's just the source of a million other things. And from that we can go into the rags. That would be the fundamentals. It's not that exciting to stay in E major, but my feeling is that you ought to sort of get comfortable in one key. The moment we've learned these, it behooves us to switch that knowledge step by step to other keys. So we're in for A, D, G, C, of course, but then also we should begin to get into some of the things that are just glorious on the guitar. A deep blues in B and a deep type of blues in F. So we need to go into the other keys and use this for you guys who are starting on the guitar to learn essentials in other keys, which by that time you should get. And for those of you who are accomplished guitarists wanting to take a step towards the blues, the job will be to apply the thinking, the concepts, the musicality to the new key as it completely shifts direction by way of the guitar. Well, that's sort of a big bite. I don't think I should go any further. I do need to hear from you and to tell me at the least what you had trouble with and what you might want me to go over again. Otherwise, on the next blues tape, I'll be working still in the general area of fundamentals. After that, we learn to control the board. We take all this stuff up the board and transpose. And that'll pretty much give you control of this medium as much as you would ever need. Thanks. Have a good time.